And as you mentioned before, it's the economics and the policies and the state also seem to be helping you.
Yes, that's right. That's correct.
And the state of Delaware is actually quite famous for its energy efficiency technologies and projects in this field, is that right?
Yes, yes. That's the Sustainable Energy Utility. And we formed the Sustainable Energy Utility at a time when electricity prices were slated to climb very fast in the state. And so the center that I direct had formed this idea of a new utility, and we were given the chance. It was put into law. And as a result, we were able to organize this groundbreaking investment in energy efficiency and renewable energy, and got the AA+ rating from Standard & Poor's. So yeah, it was very special. I was the co-chair for that work of the Sustainable Energy Utility with my good colleague, State Senator Harris McDowell, and we were given a shout out by President Obama, which made me personally wow, and and Asian Development Bank also has recommended that the fastest growing economic region in the world think about this model.
Is it also being adopted by other states in the
U.S.? Yes. We are now working through another vehicle, the Foundation for Renewable Energy and Environment. We are working in California, in Pennsylvania, and a variety of other states in the U.S. and abroad.
So is this also leading to a lot of profits? Is it a business model?
It is a business model. It's not leading to profit in my case.
No.
I'm a nerd. I don't...
You're not interested in profit?
Well, and I don't really know how to do it. But I know how to build the model. I don't necessarily know how to... So, but yes, it is a business model, and it is built on making sustainable energy profitable. That's the whole point. If solar and energy efficiency can't compete, we will not make the big change we need to make to address the problem of climate change. So it has to be a business model that that can make economic sense, and that's what we've been trying to do.
And most of the investors are private?
Yes, right? Yes. Our the model is a model that brings private investment into the development of these new technologies. So the 110 million that I mentioned in that investment entirely came from private sector investors. So we sold into the bond market, and bond buyers who are not noted for their wild ideas about this. I mean, bond buyers are very conservative economic players, and they bought our bonds and at a premium. We actually had gone into the market with one price. We sold at a higher price because bond buyers demanded the bonds. So yeah, we did well.
Very good. Well, I'm joined by Professor John Byrne, and we'll be right back after this.
A long time ago we used, we depended upon running water would be the principal way that we would pump and things like that, and then we stopped using those sources, and we switched to the fossil fuel sources. So, but the debate is, should we be calling it energy sources anymore, or whether we should be calling it energy services? That what we're really doing is providing services. What people want is not coal. They want heat, or they want cooler air, or they want lighting.
Professor, do you think Korea has the potential to conserve energy and also improve the efficiency of how we use energy?
I think you do. Yeah. I think you actually have some very special opportunities that way. One of the most important ways in which we're going to conserve energy in the future is through the use of information and communication technology, being able to sense what are our buildings doing with energy and water and other things. And you are one of the leaders in the world in so-called ICT, information and communication technology. That data and used for modeling purposes to say how the buildings are performing is going to be a really important next step. I think it's the next generation idea that's going to be driving the new energy world that we're talking about. So I think Korea has an exceptional opportunity that way. You also have another, in the case of solar energy, the technology itself is like a microprocessor chip. And you are also very good in that technology. And you are producing some of the higher quality solar cells that are in the marketplace today. So I think that, that Korea has the opportunity and the ability to be a leader in this field.
Are there any specific projects or maybe collaborative projects that you're working on?
That we're trying to work on? Yes. And, we've begun working with a new university that has been created in Korea, the Daegu Gyeongbuk Institute of Science and Technology. And it has essentially a green energy department that's working on the next generation fuel cells and the next generation solar cells. And again, I think both of those technologies are going to play a big role in our future. And we're very pleased to be cooperating with DGIST on this score. In addition, we have a relationship with Korea University, and here we are trying to work on the economics of these new technologies, how to improve the economics worldwide and here. And I just mentioned a third, which is perhaps the longest standing relationship with Gyeongbuk National University, also in Daegu. The International Solar Cities Initiative is headquartered in Daegu, and the president is a professor. Kim Jong-dal is one of our very first PhD graduates from the center. So we have, we're very proud of all of the good work that he has done.
That's great. You mentioned a little bit about next generation fuel cells and next generation energy sources. But for the final question, let me ask you to look even beyond the next generation.
Yes.
Because we saw in films like the banana peels,
yes,
crude form of biofuel, I guess.
Yeah.
But are there certain energy sources that we haven't even heard of, maybe that's only come out in science fiction books or movies that you're thinking that could have a realistic application?
Well, that's a really good question. First of all, that's a somewhat scary question, because if you were to ask yourself, when the brick cell phone, as you mentioned earlier, came out, would you have ever thought of all the functions that are now in the cell phone today? I think we're in a world where innovation of that kind is going to happen. And sort of looking from this place to what those new ideas are going to be will probably be off, because we won't really imagine in the way that we're going to see new options. But I do think, having said that, I do think that we're going to see some breakthroughs in materials, new materials that we're going to use in storage, that we're going to use in solar cells, that we're going to use in cell phones. These new materials are going to provide an entirely different way for us to think about how, for example, in the case of solar, we're probably going to be using flexible solar cells. It's going to be extruded kind of like a plastic, and it will radically change the way in which we can use the technology.
What about, I think it was in Spider-Man, a mad scientist started building an energy source. It was almost like a miniature sun. It was supposed to be the source of infinite energy.
Yes.
Is that just something in the movies, or is that something that's actually being developed super secretly that maybe you're not mentioning?
I promise I'm not keeping secrets. Fusion technology has been looked at as the way in which we create a new sun. Chances, a lot of very bright people worked on it. I don't think it has much of a promise in that regard. But it is good. It lasted. If you think about it, the original publication of that story is back in the 50s. So the story is still amusing people in the 21st century that way. Okay, but I don't think it has any reality for us.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you, Professor Byrne, for sparing some time of your schedule to talk with us. Who knew energy and energy efficient could be so much fun and stimulating? I'm sorry, but it really was so entertaining. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the invitation.
And that was our conversation with Professor John Byrne. You can see a repeat of our show on our homepage, arirangtv.com. Join us again next time. Until then, bye-bye.